Hello, cool dudes, and welcome to some more. Yes. Great intro. I love it. Fanfiction Friday. Uh, I'm not sure how far I got, but I do remember I was up to here. So, if we backtrack just like a sentence, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, Xavier. Great. Good job, me. Ugh. Hey, Xavier, a female voice said, bringing him out of his small trance down memory lane, as Donna would put it. Okay. What is it, Salil? I'm gonna give him voices now. I didn't do that last time, I think. I am now, though. He said, turning to her that is impossible to say. He said, turning to her curiosity in his voice. There was no commas. Turning to her curiosity. I'm probably not even saying that right. It's a hard word. There was no worry in his tone, but deep down, he was worried for his companion. Cube. That's a Portal reference. Salil was now directly in front of him instead of where she was when they were walking. That felt way too drawn out. In short, Salil was like her father, except in girl form. Mother? Yep. Good job. Good job, writer. Good job. Salil was like her father, except in girl form. That is like the definition, kind of a mother. Like your female father. Great sword user and ironically flirted with girls. She's probably into them. If she flirts with girls. Just saying. I don't know why I felt the need to point that out, but I did. You're welcome. I don't want. Okay, I couldn't. No, it was. I don't. I want to thank you back then, not don't. She said, her face slightly dropping towards the charred land beneath them. They're back there now? Okay. However, what she had just said brought Anne raised eyebrow. If you don't know when to use Anne, it's if the next word has a vowel. And if you could tell, that wasn't the right moment. Anne raised eyebrow and crossed arms from him. That's not even English. That is not even English. I don't... Salil, I don't understand your question. Do you mean when I saved you from a large group of Risen? Or was it something else? He voiced in a rather arrogant tone of voice. So bad. The tone wasn't intended, it just happened. I'm sure it did. Salil, however, was starting to blush like her grandmother. What? What? Is Salil like Lucina? And he knows his mother's mother? I'm not really sure. I don't understand. His grandmother. Her grandmother, I mean. Xavier, this is starting to become difficult with you and your questions. But what I mean is, what you've done for me and the others all these years. Pause intended. She said, her head never once picking up and her voice becoming almost a whisper. A smirk. I lost where I was not across. A smirk. I just remembered this when we read this with my friends. A smirk was not across her face. And I believe it was Willis who made this joke. Or maybe it was Dan. It was Willis, Dan, and maybe... It was yes, I'm 100% sure it was Willis. A unicorn was not running in the distance. Willis, 2015. A smirk was not across her face, but instead held a pained expression. Xavier dropped his arms. Oh, goodbye. My arms just dropped. I dropped them. It may look like my shoulders are still there, but they're not. I just dropped my arms. Goodbye. The end. Goodbye, arms. Where did I go? Ooh, I lost my spot. Oh, there it is. Xavier dropped his arms. The left arm going down, but his right arm going into his companion's shoulder. That's not down! And that's also not dropping your arms. He dropped his arms. Grabbed his shoulder. Like, no! Salil looked up. Her eyes widened. Xavier took a breath and then stared. I thought this had started. Directly into her eyes. Even as Salil began to deepen a blush, she didn't care. What? Even as Salil begun to deepen. No, it's not past tense. Deepen a blush? No comma. She didn't care. I don't understand what that's supposed to mean. Oh my gosh. Salil. You didn't need to thank me for anything, Salil. However, you're scared. Scared that everything that is about to happen is in vain. Everything you have sacrificed would be in vain. Thank you for repeating yourself. Me. He said, his voice remaining neutral. Her face removed the blush and looked down at the ground beneath her feet. Emphasis on the T. Well, there's been a lot of that's happened to you, you know? What? There's no two there. Well, there's been a lot that's happened, you know. You know? After all, that was a question. Why was that a question? Well, there's been a lot that's happened, you know? Do you? This is a question I have. After all, we had grown up with copies of our own parents only to watch them die before us again. Their parents are dead again. Cool. I bet that was wonderful. You had to be left behind because some guys thought that was going to solve anything. I don't think that was right. Me and the others had to go on without you keeping us together. There's so many O's in that sentence. It was hard to read. She said, that was the guy. That was the guy who said that. She said, raising her head, connecting with his eyes. At a point, he dropped his arm. Again! Dropping his arm. He knew what she meant. No, that was guy. No. If that was girl, they should have said it at the beginning of the sentence, not the end. Wonderful. I love it. Salil had remembered what had transpired between everyone. No one trusted him, and once they came to some conclusion about why the Risen hunted them like moths to a flame, and only attracted Xavier. Attacked. That was a long sentence. I almost ran out of breath. They ditched him. She had blackened out. That was my fault. She had blacked out when it happened, only to be explained what had happened by one of the dying Valneys. Thank you for repeating yourself again. It had happened, only to be explained what had happened. Thank you. When he saved her, she fainted and blacked out. She could remember what she had seen quite well, in fact. Flashback. Oh, flashback time, guys. I thought this was already a flashback. I'm really confused. Salil ran through the flaming streets of a village, cutting down whatever Risen got close enough. She had told her group she'd catch up to them. Not she'd catch up to them. Soon only to end up knowingly farther from them than expected. A piece of wood blocked her from... Only a single one. Not many pieces of wood, like building a barrier. Just a single piece of wood blocked her from going back to her group. She turned, going into an alley leading into a large plaza. I really thought they said pizza. A large plaza filled with Risen roaming around. Turn around to avoid the Risen. There was four behind her. Not were. English. Do you speak it? Far behind her, she was starting panic. She was starting panic inside now. I'm sorry. Guys, this is very important. Listen to me. Listen. Right now. Listen. She started panic inside now. I thought you really needed to know that. She started panic inside now. The alleyway wasn't wide enough for her to keep going footing. Oh, wait. To keep good footing and not get injured. The sound she would make with her sword would attract the other Risen in the plaza. I don't think swords make that loud of sounds. Unless you got like a laser sword, like the Master Sword. It's like, shing shing. Attack other Risen in the plaza. Unconsciously, she ran, bringing... Dang, I can't read today! Bringing the Risen's attention to her. There was one of her against probably 30 Risen. That's a lot. She couldn't fight that many alone, parrying and dodging whatever strikes came her way. Only to be met... No, not right now, Call. I'm still reading. Only to be met with pain coursing through her. She had only made it halfway into the middle of the plaza. Halfway into the middle? Okay. Wouldn't that just be like halfway through the whole thing? I'm not really sure. She could see an untouched row of houses behind the Risen as her only way of escape. A Risen Myrmidon, I think that's how you say it, stood over her along the other Risen, bringing its rusty sword up. Salil covered her face, dropping the iron sword she had right next to her. Why? She knew this was the end. She couldn't fight so many at one time. She waited for the slash and last breath of life to come from her. In fact, she mentally prepared her final words even. But then she heard a sword slash and a clank of metal hitting the ground. Suddenly, slightly moving an arm but not removing them. I really want to get to, like, the author's note, but that probably won't be until the next part. I'm sorry. Slightly moving an arm but not removing them. Oh, okay. I read that funny in my head. She saw a dirtied male figure. He had Ash. Ketchum. I added that in, just to let you know. Wink. Dirt and some cuts over him. He had no armor, just torn jeans. His hair was a mess, but had a familiar blue color scheme to it. Wow! Okay. He had two swords, a normal iron one, but his other sword, it glowed. It was Xavier! Okay. She tried to get up, but couldn't. Pain stopped her. Her adrenaline rush was no longer... What was the point of this flashback again? I don't remember. I honestly don't. Her adrenaline rush was no longer there, but instead was replaced with huge gasps for air. Looking down upon her body, she had cuts all over her mercenary outfit. I didn't know she was a mercenary. Okay. Nor no. Soon she collapsed, but not before hearing the words, "Damn it! I won't let you die on me, Salil!" Oh, whatever. I'll just skip his voice. I don't even remember it. When she came to, her armor was gone and resting on top of a round desk. Ooh, she had red-stained white bandage. She had red-stained white bandage over her body. I love it. And felt a sense of familiarity with the bed she was in. That's when it hit her. The bed was Xavier's, when she had to sleep over for some nights. But then her parents needed some time alone for whatever reason, and one time there was no way she could walk back home, so she stayed at Xavier's house. He let her sleep in his bed while he slept at his desk, every time she had to sleep over. Getting out of the bed, shivering slightly, she edged herself to the door. And slowly opened it. Opening it, she was greeted with an unusual sight of the living room, except this time with only a carpet. Horror, I know. A square wooden table. Oh, only a carpet! A square wooden table, and her sword looking sharper than it was before. And a small chair. That's not how it works. Flashback end. That day she was separated from her group, and only to be saved by Xavier. Apparently her group, from what he said, had left her behind, just like he was left behind. He said they had to leave soon. He just now had the opening to grab the old outfit. They're both 16, and now they were 18. During that time, Sable surfaced in his right arm just inches above his wrist and 17 years old. Caused Xavier to become stronger than she thought possible. He could take many Risen all at once without tiring out despite his wounds. Yep, that's Sable started to glow a faint glow in the coat, and the pair's feet leading to their legs were beginning to vanish entirely. Xavier brought the jewel to his field of vision. He could see it through the coat. Still closed her eyes, waiting for what was about to come next in her life. I sped up because I wanted to finish this part. So, next time, we'll get into Chapter 2. But before... Dang, that was not good. But before we go into Chapter 2 next time, I'll read the last author notes. So, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Episode of Fanfiction Friday, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye! Whoa! Good job, me. Well, for real now. Goodbye!